Welcome to lesson number 4. In this video, we're talking all things matte foundation. I'm going to show you how I achieve that matte look, the tools that I use, as well as the products that I use to achieve that type of look. If you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, I'd love for you to do so right now. It's the red rectangular box somewhere down there. It really helps the growth of my channel in order for me to continue creating content that you are going to be helped from. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Don't forget to share this with other people who might need information like this. Information and knowledge really helps society to grow and move in the same direction. So don't harbor all of this to yourself. Share this with people. Let us all just learn how to apply makeup so that we don't have to look at people some type of way every single time you see something wrong. Okay, let's get straight into the video. I have my skin prepped, it's primed and ready for that matte foundation application. Now when it comes to foundation, you might think it's the easiest thing to do, but it really isn't. Sometimes I still purchase foundations and you find that I purchased the wrong foundation. It looks good in store when I try it with all those artificial lights, but the minute I step outside, it's a completely different type of shade. Unfortunately, it's not easy to find your perfect foundation shade. Sometimes you have to make the mistakes in order for you to learn. And I'm here to help you, at least give you guidelines and tips and tricks as to how to find that perfect foundation shade, or at least a shade that is close enough to your skin tone. I, for one, still struggle with the correct foundation shade, but at least now I know how to mix and match the foundations that I already have in order for me to get that perfect foundation shade. I've purchased many, and I mean many foundations, all of them which are not my perfect shade, but somehow, someday, when I do my makeup, I always find my way gravitating towards different types of foundations just so that I can mix them together and get the perfect shade. Don't forget that your skin color changes a lot. Climate change, seasonal changes, hormonal imbalances, and of course if you're taking medication. Some medications really do affect your skin color, and therefore the foundation that used to work for you like literally 2 months ago doesn't work right now. It doesn't mean you have to throw it away. Just keep it and try finding a foundation shade that works for you at that particular time. I always suggest to my clients that every single time you purchase a foundation, I suggest you purchase 2 foundations. One that is darker and one that is lighter. And that way when your skin color fluctuates, you know how to mix the 2 shades together in order for you to get at least a close enough or that perfect foundation shade for yourself. I also receive a lot of DMs, texts and stuff, and they say that every single time they have to buy a foundation, especially at a store, and there's someone standing there to help them, they never really get the right shade, or they're never confident with the shade that they get. And that is true. Most of those assistants that are there, they don't even know what they're doing. There are some stores which have professional makeup artists or qualified makeup artists there who will help you get your foundation shade correct. I've been helped twice and I still did not get it right, and those foundations are very expensive. Foundations are categorized and differentiated by undertones. There is cool, neutral, and warm undertones. There's so many different ways that you can find out what your undertone is. I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you guys to follow. Just check it out and find out what your undertone is. There are 2 simple, not so simple ways that you can find out what your undertone is right now, as I am going to guide you. The first thing you can do is go outside or stand next to a window where there's proper sunlight and check your veins on the inside of your wrist. If your veins are green, then you have a warm undertone. If they are blue, then you have cool undertone. But if they are bluish green or greenish bluish, then you have what we call a neutral undertone. That's why sometimes if you have neutral undertone, when you wear a foundation that is warm, it looks orange on you. And when you wear a foundation that is cool, it looks a bit dull and gray on you. But if you mix the 2 together, you find that you actually get the perfect shade for you. Most of the time, brands actually differentiate, or they classify their foundation shades with W, N, and C. MAC does that, Estee Lauder does that, and recently Yardley does that as well. Unfortunately, most foundations that are affordable and you purchase at the pharmacy or drugstore don't have that classification. You have no way of finding out whether the foundation is cool, neutral, or warm. And that doesn't help with anything, because you might buy a foundation which is the right skin color, but the undertone is completely off. This one over here is number 58, which is True Caramel. And this one over here is number 60, which is Caramel. They're both caramel. One is true and the other one is just caramel. They're not so far away from each other when it comes to the numbering. This is 58 and this is 60. Even though they are both brown and they both look like they will work on my skin because of the colors being the same. Let me bring you a little bit closer so that you can look at it in the bottle and see that they are quite different. If you have a look at these, number 60 is much more warmer. It has a bit of orange color in there. And then number 58, which is a True Caramel, is a bit more on the cool side. It's like a bit grayish, a bit dull, if I could put it that way. So they are different. It's just that if you don't know what warm undertones look like and what neutral or cool undertones look like, you're definitely going to miss it. You will purchase the 58 and get home and wonder, why is it that every single time I apply this foundation, which is my right color, it looks a bit ashy and gray? That's because you got the wrong undertone. And then sometimes you get home and you purchase the caramel and you apply it, but the minute you apply it, you're asking yourself, why do I look a bit orange? You know, that's because you purchased a warm undertone foundation instead of a neutral or a cool undertone. Now I'm going to show you what buying the right undertone but the wrong color actually looks like. I have here with me two of the most expensive foundations that I own. Estee Lauder, this is the Double Wear foundation. A perfectly amazing and great foundation, especially if you have hyperpigmentation or dark marks like me. The first one is 5W1 and the second one is 6W1, which is Sandalwood. These two are both warm undertone foundations, but the colors are completely different. This one over here is 6W, which is Sandalwood, and this one over here is 5W1, which is Bronze. Here's what happened. I went to two different stores, helped by two different consultants or assistants, and still they did not get my right shade at all. I purchased this the first time and I was told that this is my right shade, which is 5W1 Bronze. It's lighter. But when I got home and applied this, I realized that this is way too light for my skin color. Next, I went to a different store and I purchased this. She helped me out and she told me that no, your perfect shade is Sandalwood, which is 6W1. I purchased it with the pump. The pump was 50 bucks, by the way. With the pump, I purchased and I was happy to know that finally I got the right shade. When I got home, applied the foundation the next day, it definitely was not the right shade at all. So these two are both warm undertone foundations. That part is right, but the colors are completely different. This one is darker and this one is lighter. So what do I suggest when it comes to situations like this? Would I rather buy a foundation which is the same color but different undertones and mix the two? Or would I rather buy the same undertone foundation but two different shades so that I can mix the two to get my correct shade? I definitely would recommend you to buy foundations which are the same undertone, one darker, one lighter, so that you can always find a way to mix the two together to get the right shade. If you get lighter than your normal shade right now, you will move closer to this shade, which is lighter to you, mixing a little bit of the dark one just to get the right one. And when it's summertime and you're under the sun or you have some skin treatment that makes your skin darker, you'd rather then gravitate towards, the darker shade and then add a little bit of that lighter shade to get the right and perfect shade for you. If you're a beginner and you want to buy a foundation, you don't know what to do, that is my advice to you. Buy two foundations. Start with the one that you can afford. If you can afford double wear, great. Go ahead and purchase it. I'm not going to judge. But if you can't afford double wear, find a foundation that you can afford and buy two different shades that have the same undertone. Great. Now that we have that out of the way, I'm going to talk to you guys about full coverage foundations. If you don't have any skin problems, like you don't have hyperpigmentation or dark marks, I really do suggest that you buy a foundation that's more of a medium coverage that could be built up to be a full coverage. You really don't need that full coverage look when your skin is already looking amazing. You just want something that's going to even out your entire skin so that you can have like one skin tone from ear to ear, forehead to chin. So purchase medium coverage foundations, and that way your skin will be able to breathe properly. For some of us who have dark marks, we always want to make sure that these marks are completely covered up. If you are like me, then go for foundations that give you that full coverage promise. Most of them don't live up to it, I know, but at least you now have a foundation that claims to be full coverage, and you can build it up if you need to build up the coverage. If you have trouble with enlarged pores, buy a foundation that helps with pore minimizing. One foundation that I can think of which is affordable is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. So this one over here will mattify your skin if you have oily skin, and also help you with minimizing your pores. So this is a good foundation that you can try out that is pore minimizing. One thing that I gravitate towards when it comes to foundations is a foundation that has a little bit of skincare in it. If it's a serum, great. If it's SPF, then I love it a lot. Because then that foundation is not just there to cover up your imperfections or whatever the case might be, but it also helps maintain a good, healthy skin. Now, there are different types of foundations out there that have skincare in them or have SPF in them. One of them is, of course, the Double Wear Foundation. It has an SPF of 10. The next one is the Yardley Stay Fast, which has a whopping SPF 20, which is incredible. And the last one, which is kind of my favorite, is the Rimmel London Lasting Finish Foundation, which not only has SPF 20, but it also has a comfort serum in there that helps this foundation to be much more wearable and lighter on your skin. It shouldn't feel like you have a whole lot of makeup on your face, especially because it is a full coverage foundation. Whew, I feel like I've been talking a lot about foundation. Now let's get into the practical / application part of this video. To do so, I am going to reach out for my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundations. I'm going to mix the two together so that I can get the perfect shade for myself, of course. This is a good foundation for matte look. It's good foundation for, that full coverage look. I'm going to put some at the back of my hand. Okay, and then I have some right there. I'm just going to add just a tiny bit. Just that one little droplet like that. This is what works for me. Okay, so before application, I just want to talk about the tools that you will need. Some people use a beauty sponge to apply their foundations, and some people use a brush. I, for one, prefer the brush over the sponge. The only time I'd use a sponge is after applying the foundation with my brush. Maybe on that particular day, I will go over my face with the sponge just so that I can get it to be nice and smooth. When applying foundation with a brush, do not do anything like this. This is why your foundation always has these streaks and whatever. You need to tap it into your skin. That's why I suggest buying a flat top or flat brush like this. It helps a lot when it comes to pushing the foundation into your skin. So you are tapping the foundation in. It's tapping motions, tapping motions, tapping motions all the way. Don't forget to go under your chin. Bring the foundation down to your neck in order for you to have that seamless, one even skin tone. Drag your foundation to your ears as well. When it comes to applying foundation on your forehead, do not apply a lot. You don't want to have a thick layer of foundation on your forehead. You really just want a minimum amount, like literally just a little bit, enough to cover up you know, your imperfections, enough to have that even skin tone. Drag the foundation into your hair. Okay, great. So this is how my matte foundation will end up looking like. So let's recap and close off this video. The most important part when it comes to getting that matte foundation is to use a foundation that really does mattify. Using a foundation that's more for fresh or dewy looks for your matte foundation routine, that's not going to help you in any way. So if you don't have a mattifying foundation, I suggest that you purchase one when you get the money to do so. Don't pressurize yourself. You can continue doing your dewy foundation, but when you do have a little bit of money saved up, go ahead and get a mattifying foundation. There are affordable foundations out there that are mattifying, like I showed you guys earlier on. The Maybelline Fit Me foundation is a mattifying foundation. You can get that for yourself. Number 2, priming your face is important. The primer that you use for your face when you are going for that matte foundation look needs to be a mattifying primer as well. Applying powder over your mattifying primer helps a lot. It helps a lot for you to apply a bit of powder on your mattifying primer. If the foundation that you use is not drying quickly or it just doesn't dry down to be matte, I suggest you get yourself a translucent powder. A translucent powder is a powder that really does not leave any color on your face. That translucent powder, when applied on your face, all it does is mattify everything that is on your face, or it sets the foundation on its own. So I suggest purchasing a translucent powder. You can purchase a translucent powder from anywhere. Every brand has its own translucent powder. You just need to find the one that works perfectly for you. So after applying your foundation, you will use a powder brush, dip it into the powder, tap out the excess a little bit, and then start to mattify your face. Don't use a lot of powder, okay? Don't use a lot of powder. Don't overdo the powder application, because all you want to do is to mattify your face. All you want to do is to set the foundation so that it can be more matte than dewy. There we have it. Now my face is ready for contouring and highlighting. Stay tuned for lesson number 5, which is contouring and highlighting.